everyone, and welcome back to the True to Form podcast. I am your host, Audrey Neff. I know it's been a couple of weeks since our last release, but I am immensely excited about today's guest. Not only is he a weight loss connoisseur in this industry, but he is also a PatientNow client as well. So I'm super excited to welcome Kevin Grass to the episode, who is the president and owner of N of One Wellness. And today's episode is really going to be all things around building and implementing a successful weight loss program in your practice. And I know so many of you guys and our loyal listeners and things like that, and just all of us in the industry overall, both in the wellness, weight loss side and aesthetics as well. Medical weight loss has really almost disrupted a lot of the market. And I think it's become a really big phenomenon. A lot of people are trying to jump on the bandwagon of adding it in, but I think that we need to, beyond just, seeing it as a trend of something we should be implementing, I think it's more critical that we understand how to actually implement it and execute these types of programs the right way, which is why we really wanted to bring Kevin on, because he's been doing this for many, many years. So this episode, I know you guys are going to get a lot out of, but we're going to be talking all things around weight loss. So Kevin, first of all, I know we've been doing a ton of back and forth over the last month, but it's wonderful to have you on the True to Form podcast. We're super excited to have you, and just welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So before we jump in, I really like our guests to kind of go into a background of their story, just so our audience can get a taste of what your background is, where you came from, and just your journey into opening your own practice. So I think if we start there, that would be a wonderful place, just so our audience can kind of get to know you a little bit better.
Okay. Well, I come from a background, I've been involved in medical device companies for the past 25 years. And I started my own personal journey with medical weight loss, aesthetics, and wellness probably about 2007. And it was my first foray into getting tested for a testosterone therapy, so HRT. And after doing it for a little while, when it was super expensive, by the way, to do, I was under the influence that I would never be able to get off of it because I would never want to feel that bad again. So that's kind of where I first started stepping off, involving myself into this type of business. I actually come from a long line of what I would call, from Mississippi, a long line of fat people. And we kind of chuckle about it, but big bone people, you got to find a way to manage your weight. My brother was, God rest his soul, was about 275, 5'4". So had low testosterone, those types of things, and unfortunately passed away kind of due to some of the circumstances of his weight management, hormones, and that kind of thing. And so it became a passion of mine to try to figure out a better way to live. And certainly as I've aged, we all have those concerns as we get older, be it man or woman. So that's where we started the business from, but been involved in medical practices and plastic surgery, particularly for the last 25 years.
Got it. So like the MO behind the weight loss thing, it was mainly just growing up in Mississippi and just being around, those types of people, and then your own experience with hormones and things like that.
Well, it kind of fell in my lap in a lot of ways because I knew people in the space. I knew the pharmacies that I needed to deal with. And then to figure out that, I had a passion for it, because what do they say? You don't really have a job if you wake up with a passion for it. You just have this amazing career. And it does make a difference when you get up and you're working for someone every day. Whether you want to come into your office and go to work. I wake up every morning now and I'm anxious to come into my work and see what I can do to help other people. We do something unique here in the fact that I feel like, people call us for expert advice on things that they don't understand or quite know or might see in other places. And we do all the research behind it to see if it's safe and whether we believe that therapy might help them. So while we talk a lot about weight loss, I like to think of our business more along the lines of age management, because weight is a part of age.
Yeah. And on that topic too, and I couldn't agree more on that. So I want to go into that. So N of One Wellness, first of all, I want to know where you got that name.
Okay.
Like where did that come from? And then I want to go into kind of the inner workings of your practice model. So what are the specific types of services, treatments, and things like that you're currently offering patients?
Okay. So N of One, I've been involved in the clinical development side of most of the companies I've worked with. So that means that I have to read a lot of scientific studies. So when you read a scientific study, one of the first things that a physician would ask me is how many patients were involved in a study. So, and that in terms of the study is N of 100 if there were 100 patients. In this case, we're saying N of 1 because it's a study of one person, you. You're the only person that matters. And by the way, you have a unique physiology that can make a big difference. I know for myself, I am that person that takes a drug and then say, and I don't look at and see what all the side effects are and come to find out I am the 0.1%. I am that person who has that itchy leg or the weird rash behind their ear that they mentioned in some distant little piece of paper in the back of the drug that you're taking. And I'm like, okay, well, somebody needs to read that for you sometimes because you don't know to even go look for it. And certainly it can change your life because less is more. I do feel like there's in a lot of cases, a situation where people get prescribed medicines, then they have a symptom, then they get prescribed another medicine for the symptom, and so on and so forth until finally you're 3 or 4 medicines deep and you don't know whether you've got a problem or if you just got a drug problem.
Yeah.
Or a problem related to the drugs you're taking. So again, we're there to help out from a concierge medicine standpoint, telemedicine, to be able to do that. As far as for what we offer, that is an ongoing process, I like to say, because even the weight loss stuff that we've started out originally has changed. Our philosophy on weight loss is different than what you see on Instagram or any other practice. Right now, I mean, you can go on a lot of places and find a location to buy the drugs, compounded, the real drugs from the pharmaceutical companies. But what do you do when you have complications? What do you do when you have that side effect? How are you going to deal with the ongoing need to use that product? And is that practice even telling you that you're probably going to have to stay on that product in some way or form? Our mission is to provide better tools for people to lose weight loss because we believe that there's 3 main components to losing weight. There's the food, the nutrition side, there's exercise, and then something that's really coming into fashion with everybody talking is intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is a simple process. We all can do it. Most of us can't get ourselves mentally wrapped around the idea. So in our mind, we request our patients do intermittent fasting every other day. So what that means is if you stop your last meal at 6, you're going to fast forward 12 hours. That means not consuming any sugar, by the way. So in my case, I need to not have that last glass of wine at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Have nothing but water or coffee in between the time that your fasting starts and the fasting ends. So for my age group, it'd be about 15 hours. For younger people, it's a lot less, or can be a lot less, but at least 12 to 13 hours. So you think about that, that isn't too bad. And that's how we all used to live. I mean, cavemen used to function on a lot less food. And that's what your body doesn't realize. It lives in a perpetual state of fullness. And you weren't made, your body was not made to do that. It was made to store fat for the winter because it knew things were going to happen. So it's kind of like muscle confusion in your workout routine. You've got to give your body a little flexibility. So with all that being said, the tools that we give you are a couple. You got the drugs. So if you're not hungry, you can absolutely make that fast last. You can make it wait because frankly, you're just not even that hungry.
Yeah.
But let's say you're on those medications. Now you've got another whole set of problems because you don't want to eat and you don't want to eat correctly.
Right.
For me and for everybody I talk to, you can eat a cookie and it takes the place of a steak. Emotionally, physically, you're full. Now you've got a problem. So I told you from the very beginning, there's 3 pillars, right? Now you've got a nutritional problem. You're feeding yourself nothing but sugars to replace the proteins that you need to be healthy. We help out with that. Now, you've been on the medication for a while. Well, how are we going to get off of that medication? Or are you going to have to stay on it? Some people are not willing to go through the process of trying to learn or change their habits. Because that's, again, where we're helping people is changing habits. I mean, you've got to wake up in the morning and choose a certain activity or choose not to do something. But you've at least got to choose, to want to be skinny and not just choose to put a pill in your mouth or take a shot. So that's the weight loss side of it. We do use a couple other tools in general that make that easy. Kind of a breathalyzer tool that helps us figure out whether you're burning fat or not, or if you're burning carbs or not at any time of the day. So now we can give controlled data and information to our patients and help them, again, manage their fasting routine and manage their nutrition. We cannot make you go to the gym, but if you go to the gym, you're going to lose weight faster. And all these things help with a patient with plateauing. because the other side of these drugs are, if you look at the stats from the drug companies, you're going to lose between 15 and 21% of your entire body weight. So that sounds really cool. But let's say you're 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We can do the math. You're still not skinny after you lose 20% of your body weight. That's only 60%, 60 pounds, right? Now what do you do? Well, you've had bad habits that got you to that point in the first place. We're going to have to work on your habits, and we're going to have to keep you from plateauing. So just like going to the gym, to keep you from plateauing, you have to have some sort of confusion to manage your insulin resistance is essentially what we're doing, because your insulin resistance keeps your body from flexing. So metabolically, there's a reason why I'm sure you're very skinny. You can probably eat a pizza and I can't. So because when the carbs hit your body, they go straight through. We've all been around that person. We're like, you're genetically gifted. My gosh, I wish I had that. So we can actually teach your body to be genetically gifted, to have metabolic flexibility. It takes some time, probably 6 months or a year, but using these drugs as a tool to help you get there, not the answer to your weight loss.
Yeah.
Hope that makes sense to everybody.
It does. And I want to go into this more in detail now, because I'm, first of all, fascinated. So I'm OCD about, I mean, I'm a healthy person. I weight train. I'm a runner. I count my macros crazy.
Yes.
And protein, just like you said, it's literally the most essential macro nutrient that you need in your body. And so you said something about when people are on these GLP-1 medications, you know, they're not as hungry. So then it comes in, well, you still need to be hitting your protein goals for the day and all these things. So I like that you're kind of taking it as, instead of a quick fix or an instant gratification of, okay, I want to lose weight, I'm just going to hop on these medications, which I think is kind of what social media is pushing a lot of people to view these medications as. That's not really how it is. So I love that you went into this comprehensive, holistic approach around how it's to be used as a tool in addition to all of these other things, because it's a lifestyle change people need to be making. So I think it'd be cool if you could go into like your actual approach in your practice. So obviously it's concierge medicine. So talk about how do you, first of all, determine if someone's a good candidate for getting on these medications, and then what that consultation and treatment plan typically looks like. And then I want to go into pricing and how your model around that too, but we can move into that next. I'm just curious around kind of the consultation and candidate.
So first of all, our medical director is a bariatric surgeon. And for those of you who don't know what a bariatric surgeon is, they're a general surgeon that specializes in weight loss, particularly gastric bypasses, balloon therapy. There's all kinds of things that they can do to help a patient with the surgical approach. As these GLP-1 drugs have come out, those procedures have become a little less in vogue, but they will probably come back on some level, because people are going to realize they don't want to deal with some of the complications or side effects of the drugs, being on the drugs long term, or they just decide that this isn't enough weight that they've lost. Again, go back to that larger patient that I was just talking about. They still have some goals that are not being met, and by physician standards, they're still obese. But as far as the patient we choose, we're very particular to say that we would like a patient that's 27 or above BMI. We're not keen on taking care of a skinny weightlifter, that wants to lose 10 pounds or 5 pounds before they go to their summer, outing with their friends. So that's not our specialty, for two reasons. I don't think it's safe, but also we're looking to help people that really need help, not just look for people who are looking for a quick fix, a quick solution. As far as for how we go about bringing them into the practice, we have a nurse practitioner consult with them to bring them on. Our physician reviews all our cases with our nurse to make sure that we're doing things in a healthy way. But when we're talking about losing 15 to 21% of your body weight, if you didn't take that approach, people are going to take these drugs. If the drug will continue to lose weight that way, some people kill themselves. Yeah. They literally kill themselves by malnutrition, by continue to lose it. So that plateau really starts to peak, and we help them get through that by having that nurse consultation on every 3 to 6 months, depending on the patient and the situation with them. Again, we have multiple modalities to help them, whether it be different GLP drugs or using other peptides. Peptides are a really good alternative toward either the drug itself or to stack on top of using with a GLP-1 drug. Most people don't understand that these GLP-1 drugs are nothing more than a peptide. For
Hmm.
those of us that have been around peptides for very long, it almost becomes staggering that is an FDA-approved product, because peptides are naturally occurring substances in your own
Hmm.
body. So selling people something that's naturally occurring is not unheard of. People take testosterone, but the
Yep.
fact that patent testosterone seems ridiculous. So now if you take that a step farther, patenting peptides is kind of auspicious or
Yeah.
suspicious. So
So talk about like the model. Like, so is it a month, like they join a program, you basically say, okay, this is a 6-month program, 12-month program, whatever it is. I assume it's just a recurring monthly payment, or are they paying for the programs up front? I'm just curious what your pricing model looks like in the practice and what you found success with. Because I know some practices kind of struggle with this.
and it is a struggle, and it's something we evaluate even monthly, trying to figure out the
Yeah.
right ones of how we're doing it. With these other tools that we brought on board as of recently, we're having to reevaluate our membership model in regards to this. Some patients are interested in the membership, some are interested in more of that quick fix, and most all the patients that are interested in that quick fix within 3 to 6 months are switching over to the membership model with us.
Okay.
Because they again, they hit that plateau, they hit their goal, or
Yeah.
they can't get any farther, and we have to explain to them that was never our purpose, was to just give you a drug. But some people need a nudge, and they need change in habit. So if you read very much about the power of habit, that's actually a really great book for those of you who haven't read it. Talking about what it takes to change a habit every day. You have to replace an old habit with a new habit, and certainly for those patients who just want to use it as a quick fix, they start to make habit changes, and we're again coming back to them as a professional provider and giving them ideas on what they can do better. And some people need that small habit change every day. It's kind of like making your bed. You make your bed, you start out very successful for the day.
Hmm.
So we're trying to give them the building blocks in order to keep that going.
Yeah. And on that too, because this, and I don't know if this is, I'll let you speak to this. Because I'm involved with a lot of the age management associations. I've been faculty for like the AMMG for a couple of years now and things like that, the age management medicine group. And I remember I was in a course a couple of months ago with them, and there was this whole conversation around the way that GLP-1 medications actually, because you're expediting, obviously, losing weight, you're expediting that process. So in some cases, you're losing a lot more muscle than you normally would if you were losing weight a more natural way, not using medication. So how is that true? I'm curious around that. Like, so if you're
Yeah.
going to take the medications, or let's back up. Like if you're going to lose weight the natural way, exercise, diet, being in a caloric deficit and things like that, and just being healthy, slower process, but you're losing more fat versus muscle over time versus bringing in the weight loss drugs to expedite the process. I've heard that you're actually losing a lot of muscle weight too, which is obviously something that we don't want to be losing. So talk a little about if that's true and kind of how you go about having conversations with patients around that.
Well, muscle wasting is real. The thing that you see online about Ozempic face is real.
Yeah.
And that you're actually losing musculature in your face and causing that sagginess in your face. So your skin is your largest organ in your body, and it usually is a telltale sign of all the other things that are going on, i.e. malnutrition in your body. So as you keep going with these medications, again, it goes back to that cookie steak adage that you're feeding the wrong animal there, and you're feeding it the wrong way. So you end up with a patient that is feeding themselves with nothing but carbs and sugars and losing weight. So now they're not mentally changing a habit to
Yeah.
make themselves skinny long term. If anything, some of these patients, when they're just grabbing drugs from some random person online, they're again replacing that with a cookie, and they all of a sudden decide, oh, I've hit hard times, or I don't want to be paying out this much money for drugs anymore. So now I get off of it. And instead of eating a healthy sandwich, they're eating a bunch of Oreos. And
Hmm.
that's what they think is normal, or their habit says that's normal. So now they actually gain the weight back.
Yeah.
Statistically, they say that you don't gain all the weight back, but it's pretty close. Um, but that's where we really try to step in and evaluate what the protein levels are. And again, going back to that intermittent fasting, and the way that we view this metabolic flexibility is a big deal, because again, you don't come from a long line of fat people like I said I did. Long line of fat people have genetic precursors that go along with it, but they also have some terribly ingrained habits about the way they prepare their food, the way they consume their food, and the reasons they consume food. Because people consume food for different reasons. Some people are just hungry. Some people just like to have a break, and this is their excuse to have a break in life. I can go sit down and have a drink and have a food with my friends. Then you end up consuming all this extra calories that you weren't even hungry for. Then other people who are seriously hungry, now that's a different type of issue we've got to talk to them about. So we have to help our patients decide, what is their root cause of their problem, and then try to provide them the right tools. Some people don't need as much consultation. Some people do. But I think they're all surprised how much they really don't know about weight loss.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So are you offering like nutrition coaching and things to every patient that it ends up going on a treatment plan or membership with you, or is it kind of like an add-on?
Only on the membership side. So it's an add-on to do the membership. We will actually sell you the drugs and still give you consultation. But what we mean by the membership model, we have ability to pull data off the devices that we use to be able to tell you if you're in fat burning mode or if you are in carb burning mode. So, and we can compare that with what you've been eating. So we can take a more granular look at what you're doing on a daily basis and help you figure out where the disconnect is. Let's take a look at myself, for instance. I mean, my wife and I, we don't watch TV. My wife is European. We sit down and have a couple of glasses of wine every night. I have to curtail my timing of drinking the wine. Not that I need to stop drinking the wine. Well, if I stop drinking the wine, that's less sugars, right? That would help too. But the timing of when I drink it is the bigger deal. Stopping at an appropriate time so I can have a proper fast is a big deal. So if you really sit down with your patients and start to understand their habits and the reasons why they're gaining weight, we have a larger success rate than most all our competitors around them. That's the reason concierge medicine works for us. We're worth it.
Yeah, I love that. And now the whole concierge thing kind of comes back and it makes sense to me, because you're not treating all your patients as one. You're treating all of them as super individualized plans, as figuring out like what their actual daily habits look like, and then getting very customized into that approach, which obviously is probably why you've been so successful, because it's your USP, your unique selling proposition, or your unique value proposition. And I'm just guessing. I mean, you can be the truth teller here, though. I'm assuming that most of your patients stay with you if they're getting these very customized approaches. So I assume your retention is pretty high.
Well, and that's always been the goal, because when you start with those drugs, a lot of people, you're going to have some that will kind of ease off and decide that they don't want to go any farther. But we always have them online to make sure that they understand how to age gracefully. Yeah. Because for myself, I mean, I'm at a weight that I'm comfortable with. My wife likes my weight. I'm great. But the one things that I struggle with in my 50s is cognitive function, feeling my best, sexual health. All those things are important to people as they age, particularly women. My goodness, we can help everybody go through the change, quote unquote, and menopause and perimenopause, and have a better quality of life by just making some minute changes that don't really cost a whole lot of money. And by the way, hormone therapy will help you lose weight too. So again, don't give everybody the same thing, but you brought up individualized care. That goes back to that N of one comment. This is important to us. You are our only patient. And if you're having issues, we need to know what they are so that we can find out what they are. Again, you may be the rare bird that has something unique, and we need to change what we're doing or add on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love how you put it. And it's like, we all want to age like fine wine, no pun intended, but we absolutely do. That's the basis of everything. So I really appreciate the detail that you've gone into, and just how comprehensive the approach is. So around, I guess, because I know I get asked this question all the time from our PatientNow clients that are trying to build weight loss programs in their practice. And there's always a question around pricing.
Yes.
What like threshold, or is there a range of pricing that the average patient of yours is typically spending?
Well, let's address the whole market as a whole at first, because there's a ton of confusion, and it's with intention, by the way, the confusion around pricing, because I've been involved in sales in some way, shape, or form most of my life, and statistics can be bent and changed, and special words can be used for marketing, and you don't really understand as a consumer that you might not be getting the best offer out there. For instance, you might see something on a Groupon or on Instagram that says for $99 a shot, you can have this drug. Sounds like a great deal. Well, if you're taking it every week, 52 weeks a year, that's a lot of money. And that's not the way we do our business. Depending on your own personal dosage, we let people have their own vials and inject themselves for these GLP-1 medications. And most peptides that we deal with, not all, are still injected. So they're very much the same way. So the pricing is very straightforward for us. We do have to do a little explaining because I think, again, other people in the market try to convolute that and confuse people. And they certainly do, because that might be $99 for this shot at this dose. And then the second you start going up, because you do have to increase your doses with these GLP drugs in order for them to still be efficient in doing what they're supposed to do, because your body will get used to it.
Yeah. And then how often is, like, once they hit that point where they've lost the weight and they go on maintenance, let's call it, how I'm just curious, like the maintenance process, how long does that typically last for most patients? Is it in perpetuity, or maybe just another 12 months and then it's just regular healthy lifestyle to keep the weight off?
I think that's to be decided for everybody. And as an individual, we're getting our patients to cut back to half their dose, doing it every other week type things, and they can certainly maintain their weight. And then at certain times of the year, we all have summertime. We all want a summer body, and we certainly don't care in the winter. We actually want to enjoy our food, because that's one of the side effects of these GLP-1 medications is you do have issues with a dopamine response that revolves around food. I'm a cook. I love it. I love to make people happy through food. And when I lost my love for food, I was like, I'm going to find my way of keeping my weight right here and not have to be on such a heavy dose of this, because I want to be able to feel confident and happy going and making the best kind of food I can make, not just picking up a cookie because it was convenient. So I keep better groceries in the house as a result. Yeah. So I kind of lost track of where we're at there.
No, it works for me. So, and there's a couple questions I have, but I guess one question is now too, because everything we've talked about, I mean, I know our audience is getting a lot from it, but something else I like to ask practice owners and clients are not the ugly side, but the other side of just building a successful practice business weight loss model overall. Like, what have been along the way? Because how many years have you had this practice now?
It's about 18 months now. We're not that.
18 months. 18 months. So this is even better then. What has there been any, I don't want to say mistakes, but what has been like the biggest challenge for you, in whether it was getting off the ground or just things that you've learned along the way?
Well, I'm really big in organization and processes, and not that you're even going to ask me, but I do believe the PatientNow stuff helped me get better organized, helped me understand how to reach my clientele easier and better, helped me organize them as a whole group, so that I could get them the documentation that they needed. Because I mean, most people don't see it, but your doctor's office is doing a lot of things in behind the scene to make sure that they're HIPAA compliant, to make sure that they have the proper information that they're giving to you for your own patient care, and that they're documenting everything correctly. So that was a huge step off because we started out just doing paper charts. Why wouldn't we? And to step off and try to learn to do this was a chore. You guys were great helping me understand what that looked like. As far as for other difficult things, I mean, pricing strategies are difficult in every market, in everything that you ever do. I mean, trying to find a way to maximize the correct amount of profit while staying competitive, and then understanding your own business model. Because I mean, I'll give you, for example, my nurse sends me stuff in the middle of the night. She's been up on Instagram, sends me pricing that somebody has, and I'm like, honestly, I don't care. It does not affect what we're doing, because our patients are 90% referral based. They're not looking at this, and certainly if they do, they look at it with a skeptical eye.
Yeah, Certainly. And building on that too, I think all of us should be wary of getting hyper focused on what competitors are charging, regardless of what we're offering in the practice, because I think, and you've obviously done a great job of doing that, is figuring out what your own unique approach is to the application of, let's call it, medical weight loss and all of these different things, and that you really take a custom, very custom, individualized approach. And patients, and this is statistically shown, even in tons of stats, patients will spend more money if they trust they're going to get a better result, outcome, and experience from any provider. So I think going down the slippery slope of competing on price is always a race to the bottom, in my opinion. And I think the practices that really figure it out and move away from that, and that you're selling value over price, those are certainly the ones that see the most success and that don't need to worry about if another competitor pops up. Who cares? Your patients love you, and you have your own unique approach to weight loss, age management, elective medicine overall. So I think I like that you brought that up. And we're obviously very grateful to have you as a PatientNow client. So I'm glad that the system has helped you with your weight loss program and tracking. For those of you guys who are in the industry and contemplating weight loss, our PatientNow Essentials platform, something we've really invested a lot of time and energy and effort into, is building in those weight loss memberships, capabilities, trackings, and things like that. So we certainly appreciate the kind words that our system has helped you. But building on that too, so we kind of went into, you were starting on paper, obviously systems in place is great, processes in place you need to have, especially when you start growing and scaling. What are some things apart from these comprehensive individualized approaches? Are there anything else that you think you've done really well compared to other practices that are trying to build successful models around weight loss, or if there's any advice you have to people that are contemplating adding it on?
Interesting, because I do. First of all, my wife owns a hair salon, so let's start out from a business standpoint on that. So we manage that business as well. There's plenty of people out there who need their hair cut or their hair colored. So I don't view my business as being in competition with other people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all our businesses are relationship driven.
Yeah.
So what services, emotional support, physical support are you offering that changes how people will view your business? That's how I've had my own. As far as for the things I think we've done right, hire good people, work with people you trust. I mean, those are all simple things, but most of all, if you have an intuition, trust it and go do it.
Yeah.
Heard a great statement on, I guess it was Instagram or something. This professor stands up and he pulls up a $50 bill in front of his class and says, "Hi, this is a $50 bill. Who wants it?" Only one person in the whole room jumps up and grabs the $50 bill. And he says, "Please stand there. I want to talk to you for a second." I gave all the rest of you and the people in the room a chance at this $50 bill, and y'all all said no. Sure, you got your reasons. Everybody's a skeptic, right? Nobody wants to be down front. There's always a reason. There's always a reason to not do something. I want to encourage people, if you have conviction, go do it. She gets $50 because she had the conviction to stand up and take advantage of a situation. If you see an area of need, stand up and go do it. Don't wait around for somebody else to figure it out. Try to copy it. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself. Just get up and go do it. It's kind of where we're at in the business. And it can constantly, we're blessed. It keeps growing in different directions because we keep studying what is needed in the space. I mean, even just in the last 3 or 4 months, our bariatric surgeon, we're referring our patients to our bariatric surgeon because there's a need there for certain patients that can't meet the needs of these GLP-1 drugs. Let's say a girl that's 22 years old that needs to lose, 80 pounds, 100 pounds. Is she better off having some sort of minor surgery that involves a surgeon, or is she better off taking a GLP-1 drug for the rest of her life at 22 years old? We try to help our patients make those decisions. And we feel like, there's other solutions that are not truly invasive at all that our surgeon can help them with to help them have a better result. Maybe when you're 50 years old or you're 40 years old, these drugs make sense. First of all, you've got the means and the ability to continue to pay for it. But secondly, you're the right patient. You're the right mix. Unfortunately, I think in the space with these GLP-1 drugs, everybody grabs a hammer and they said everything looks like a nail. So they just keep whacking it with the nail, with the hammer. So we feel like we have a unique discussion with our patients that makes a difference. And again, when you run a concierge business too, we don't have the same overhead that someone else has. You know, having to manage a brick and mortar building, we don't have to have that kind of huge revenue that runs through our place in order for all of us to do very well.
Yeah, certainly. And yeah, building on that, when you're concierge, you can invest your time and energy and effort and money into things that make bigger impacts for your patients and just providing them better experiences. And I love what you said. And I specifically wrote this down, is you don't view yourself as competing against anyone. You're just there to help those that need help. It's a relationship driven industry. I could not agree more with that statement. I think we all need to put that at the forefront of every single thing that we do, regardless of whatever type of elective medical treatments or services we're offering in our practice. It's all driven by relationships. Hire good people and trust your intuition. And I love what you said. If you see an area of need, get up and do it. Because if you're not going to do it, someone else will, and they'll beat you to it. And those are the businesses that pick up market share, that see success early, and you're one of the front runners versus someone crawling behind at the end, left in the other person's dust, trying to now do what you should have done 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever it may be. So I know our audience definitely, I can hear your passion in it. I've gotten a lot of little inspirational notes that I've written down from you, Kevin. So it's been, first of all, it's been really, really cool to hear your story. When I first reached out to you about this podcast episode, I didn't really know, everything about the inner workings of your practice, and I've learned a lot. And you're a very easy person to talk to, and you're just a really cool guy too. And I think all of our listeners, we just want to listen to cool people doing good things, helping people, running successful businesses, and just being, transparent about things that work, things that don't work, and where the industry is going. So first of all, I want to thank you for not just being a PatientNow client, but for coming on the True to Form podcast and sharing your story. I think it's been really awesome to hear. I'll probably want to bring you back on in another 6 months or so and see how the business has evolved as this weight loss evolution kind of continues throughout the industry. So on behalf of myself, PatientNow, I want to say thank you for carving out the time. I know how very busy you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been lovely.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, that was that.
That was good.
Was that okay?
Yeah, I was talked a little fast starting off, but that's just me in general.
No, it was awesome. You're a very good speaker. I thought that was a great episode for sure. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get this out.
You're really good at kind of keeping the conversations going. That's actually a very hard skill.
I've learned it along the way. Thank you, though. I do appreciate that. But yeah, that was fun. So our team will start working on this week. We'll probably get it out next week, I would assume. But once it's out, I'll send you everything. So you'll have the links, the assets to share. I'll give you the embed player if you want to pop it on your website and things like that. But we'll give you everything. And it'll be awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.